Scotland, like the rest of the UK, have actually been relatively successful in increasing the number of graduates in the labour market. Around 50% of Scottish school leavers go to university after school, and therefore Scotland has got no shortage of the supply of higher level skills, or the so-called knowledge workers. However, these skills not only aren't necessarily being put to use by employers, so there is a problem of skills underutilisation, they're also not necessarily the level and type of skills that employers want. For example, they don't necessarily have the higher level technical skills. So in Scotland, there's been a real emphasis on trying to better use skills in the workplace, trying to ensure that employees have got opportunities for upskilling, for reskilling. And there's been a real shift away from this binary supply of skills need to match this demand of skills. It's much more recognition that actually you need to look at this as a skill ecosystem, which means you need to look at how skills are developed, where they're developed, the skills that employers want or demand, where did the supply come in? And the supply can include things like the characteristics of the supply. So is it young people? Is it older people? And you also need to look at the deployment of skills. How are skills actually used in the workplace? What particular product market strategies are employers pursuing? And one of the key things about starting to look at addressing skills gaps and skills issues through this kind of skill ecosystem framework is that it really focuses attention on the fact that the supply, demand, development and deployment of skills are all linked. Changes in one part will influence changes in the other. And ultimately, what it also emphasises is that it is the strategic actors involved in each of these areas that really need to work together to try and shape these systems, to try and build better skill ecosystems. And one of the most important actors we find in Scotland are employers.
In Scotland, employers play a central role in delivering the National Skills Agenda. In addition to well-established community planning partnerships, we've got sector skills councils and standard-setting organisations developing our national occupational standards. And these standards underpin our apprenticeship frameworks and our vocational qualifications. Employers also work with the Scottish Qualification Authority to ensure that new national vocational qualifications derived from national occupational standards are fit for purpose. In addition, our apprenticeship frameworks are designed and approved by the employer-led Scottish Apprenticeship Advisory Board. Scotland tries to understand skills needs by working with labour market information and employers to develop skills investment plans and regional skills assessments to meet local needs which vary across the country's remote, rural and urban areas. In 2017, Scotland's 4 enterprise development and skills agencies formed a new enterprise and skills strategic board. The objective here was to not only improve intelligence around skill gaps, but also to engage in more focused work with employers to understand the emerging skills needs of industry. To address the unique challenges raised by COVID in Industry 4, this new 5-step model is currently being trialled in the college sector in Scotland. In May 2020, the Scottish Government asked the Enterprise and Skills Strategic Board to suggest practical actions to be taken forward immediately to mitigate the labour market impacts of COVID-19. These are some of the plans being taken forward with new Scottish Government funding. To achieve Scotland's 2020 objectives around upskilling and reskilling, it will be critical to build on the local, regional and national employer engagement groups already in place. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Here are some useful references for further reading around the skills landscape in Scotland.